enforcing feelings or enforcing having healthy boundaries. We hear a lot of discussions on topics about having healthy boundaries, and there can be different ways to kind of make a point or get things across. And I sometimes tell stories to illustrate a point to get people to think, right, about having healthy boundaries. The thing is, sometimes on YouTube, you'll see videos sometimes of different interactions with law enforcement and individuals who call themselves auditors for like First Amendment and so on, as far as freedom of speech and freedom of press, stuff like that. And you'll hear some of these individuals tell the police officers, well, sir, are you feelings enforcement or are you law enforcement, right? So you hear those concepts or those ideas discussed because, yeah, from this example, if you look at law enforcement, at the end of the day, they are to enforce laws, right? Statutes, laws, things that are actually passed, not necessarily enforcing somebody's feelings because maybe something makes them feel uncomfortable, if you will, right? So I like this example because this can be similar in relationships with having healthy boundaries. Because what happens is, you hear the term being gaslit, right? You'll hear that example. We hear that word used, rather, being gaslit. So somebody is being manipulative in a way to try to make you feel guilty, right? So how I discuss emotions when I have these conversations is that emotions are similar to anxiety, but different. They're similar in the sense in that they influence behavior, right? Our decisions. And the type of personal boundaries we have is a type of behavior. The problem is that emotions, they can be more specialized in their messages to ourselves, also other people. So for instance, if I feel guilty, what's the implication of guilt? The implication is that I have done something wrong. And if I believe I've done something wrong, it's going to influence my behavior, such as being able to say no to people, for example, right? So in this sense, what is more reasonable? What's more rational? What's going to be better for you in terms of you being able to make good decisions and have healthy boundaries? If you go default right off of the initial feelings you have, so if I feel it, it must be true, and then you react and then you behave accordingly, yeah, that can be a problem because that can undermine your ability to have healthy boundaries with people, places, and situations. So the thing is, we have to vet our emotions because they're not always based in logic or what's rational. So when I am maintaining healthy boundaries with individuals, while I can be considerate of how a person feels, which is different, I can validate how somebody feels about a situation, but that doesn't mean I need to agree with them. These are different things. So while I may be considerate or even have an appreciation for how someone might feel about a particular situation, that in and of itself will not dictate what my decisions are going to be within a relationship. Can I be available? Do I need to say no? How much am I going to be invested of myself in certain situations? At the end of the day, I'm going to make that decision on a much bigger picture perspective. What's the best thing to do, right? I do not compromise my values or needs by default just so I can look good or be supportive, right? You can be supportive of other people without compromising your values or needs. And this is having healthy boundaries. So in this sense, if somebody has porous boundaries, such as the individual who can never say no, they never put their own needs first, they're always compromising themselves. In this situation, this individual is doing the feelings enforcement, right? They just make decisions strictly off of feelings and emotions, right? And that's the problem. So I would encourage everyone out there, don't have knee-jerk reactions. Don't always go with the first initial thought of what you're going to do or with that initial feeling. Be willing to pull back, look at a much bigger picture perspective, and ultimately, what's the best thing to do here? I hope it's going to be that your healthy boundaries enforcement, right? That's the primary mover. That is the mechanism, if you will, by which you're going to make decisions and how you operate within relationships in life, as far as doing ultimately at the end of the day, what's the best thing for your situation. So I hope this helps. Hopefully we're not feelings enforcement. There's a difference to be considerate of other people. I'm not saying we can't be considerate, but that's different. It's not the same thing. Doesn't mean by default you then make all of your decisions strictly off of a feeling or an emotion, because then we're just enforcing feelings. So just like with the example with police officers being law enforcement and not feelings enforcement, it's the same for us in how we manage our lives. We don't need to enforce other people's feelings through our actions in order just to keep them feeling comfortable, right? It's not our responsibility primarily to keep everybody around us happy or feeling comfortable. That's their job. Just like it's our job, we are responsible for our own happiness primarily. And within relationships, sure, they can be mutually interdependent, reciprocal, balanced, and supportive to where it's adding value to your life versus an imbalance and causing stress. So I hope this helps. Everybody have a happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Take care.